Octagonal was public property. The Big O, as they called him. He was the people's horse. Australia has seen more talented horses than Octagonal. But what separated the Big O from just about any other horse in recent history wasn't his sheer racing ability. It was his enormous heart and his remarkable will to win.
Coming down to approach the home turn now. Magnet Bay the inside and Istadard lead, Perfect Bound, Royal Line. Nothing like a Dane on the rails, fifth around the turn as Juggler creeps a bit close around the outside. Vianda Cross is under the whip behind it. Octagonal is getting onto the back of Juggler now. And then came Doremus when they sweep into the straight where Istadard hit the front at the 400. And Istadard dashed out by 2 lengths down to Juggler giving chase. Here comes the Big O. Octagonal is winding up with a run down the outside. Juggler gets to Istadard at the 300. Octagonal in turn is chiming in, and Gold City gets up on the inside. Juggler Istadard, Octagonal the outside, and Gold City along the rail. Juggler just in front. Gold City pegging it back with the Big O coming at them. It's Gold City, the Big O, the outside, they hit it. Oh, gee, this is close. Either
the 1987 Australian Cup was a trademark Octagonal performance. This was the horse that notched up 9 of his 10 Group 1 wins by an aggregate of less than 2 1/4 lengths. The champion stuck his head out on the line to win 6 Group 1s in photo finishes. John Hawke Superstar became such a household name during his 3- and 4-year-old seasons that you almost forget he was the champion 2-year-old of his year.
Starting to wind up at the 200, Tuscany Flyer headed shaded. Here's the big bloke from the Shaky Isles, our Maze K, and Octagonal on the extreme outside, but our Maze K the leader. Octagonal cutting him down with every stride. Octagonal coming home the better and got there on the line.
Quite a remarkable feat. The horse that went on to excel at 2,400 metres against the best in the land was able to beat freak New Zealand sprinter Our Mace K over 1,200 metres. The hustle and bustle of the capacity field over 1,200 metres beat him in the Golden Slipper, but he appreciated the step up to 1,400 metres in the size produce.
Coming to the 200 mark, and Zed Richards just the leader from Exclusive Halo. Here they come now, Strategic, Octagonal and Show of Force. Little Show of Force is squeezing through in the centre. Show of Force and Octagonal hit the lead from Strategic. Show of Force and Octagonal. Isolde coming late on the inside as they hit the line. Octagonal, Isolde.
Isolde got her revenge in the Group 1 Champagne Stakes, in a photo, of course. But Octagonal was due a well-earned rest. Time to plan a big spring. The champion 2-year-old had furnished into a superb individual during his spell, and he was primed for early glory. He followed the win in the listed Heritage Stakes with another in the Group 3 Roman Consul, but couldn't match the sheer brilliance of Our Mace K in the Caulfield Guineas at his first Melbourne start. He was looking for longer, and his second Melbourne start, well, that was another matter.
Off the back in the Cox Plate, and it's Our Mace K. Over on the inside and neck in front with Stony Bay putting the pressure on the outside. Solvit is further out on the track with Station Hand. Then Just Apollo. Damewin is waiting for a run at the 600-metre mark, and further back in the race, Mahogany off the rail. Pulled out wide on the track is Octagonal, and the widest runner is Jearn. Our Mace K struggling. He's gone. Station Hand has hit the front. Damewin carried back through the field, hampered badly, Station Hand in front. Here's Octagonal and Germ with a mighty run. Then getting through is on the inside Mahogany. Mahogany rails up with Octagonal at the 200-metre marker on the outside. Octagonal, Mahogany coming at him, stride for stride now on the Cox Plate. Mahogany, Octagonal, Octagonal, Mahogany. Octagonal's got his nose in front. Octagonal wins the Cox Plate.
I think one of the biggest highlights was winning a Cox Plate. You know, we all have dreams and ambitions and goals, and one of my goals, well, my biggest goal was to win a Melbourne Cup, a Cox Plate and a Golden Slipper. And of course I'd won before 95 a Melbourne Cup and a Golden Slipper, and I hadn't won a Cox Plate. And when I won on him that day, it really hit me that I've achieved a major pinnacle of my career. And I would hate to have finished riding and say to my kids I never won that race when I'm watching it. In years to come when I'm 70 or 80 or 60 at home watching the Cox Plate would have annoyed me immensely. So when I won on him, it really hit me, and I had a tear and I had a little cry, and I was just so happy and so glad. And that's one of the biggest moments of my career.
Oh, I got no doubt it was the Cox Plate. I mean, he was, at that point in time, he perhaps wasn't what you call the champion. He was a young 3-year-old, yeah, on the verge, and to win that sort of thrust him into stardom. And I'm sure that was, his greatest win. Mahogany, he was a great season, tough, hard horse, and, it was a head-and-head all the way down the straight, and it was just great to see him win on the day. But he had some other great wins, but I still feel that was his greatest win.
Australia had its champion 3-year-old. Octagonal was beaten by Nothing Like a Dane in the Victoria Derby, but the debate over which horse should have won still rages today. It was a minor hiccup. Autumn awaited.
Super Slew the leader. Darren Beedman hard at work on Octagonal on the outside. Bravo Zulu in third place. And then Falante, who looks to be making heavy weather of it, and wide on the track. Payback time. Future King is running on well. In the straight, Octagonal flat to the boards to head. Super Slew. They're clear of Falante. Bravo Zulu on the fence. Octagonal full bore. Falante is having another go at him. Octagonal in front. Beedman's got to ride desperately. Falante can't quite pick him up, and Octagonal fell in to win the Guineas. In the straight, Delinquent the leader. Nothing Like a Dane looming up on the outside. Octagonal and Saintly right out in the middle of the track. Nothing Like a Dane hit the lead at the 200, but Octagonal has gobbled him up on the outside. Saintly is going to have the last shot at them. Octagonal just in front of Nothing Like a Dane. Saintly on the outside. Octagonal just in front as they get near home. Saintly lunged. Octagonal. And here come the 3-year-olds down the outside. Circles of Gold in front at the 200. Count Chivas in the centre. Octagonal. Saintly's gone. It's Count Chivas and Octagonal. Octagonal headed Count Chivas close to home in the Mercedes Classic, and Octagonal, desperately ridden by Beedman, is drawing away. He'll win. Where Nothing Like a Dane takes the lead. Nothing Like a Dane hit the front up the rise. Falante's the first to go after him. Here comes Saintly with Octagonal down the extreme outside. Out after them now. Falante headed Nothing Like a Dane. Further out Saintly, and here comes the big O. Octagonal with the last run at them. Falante, Saintly and Octagonal. They've come away from Nothing Like a Dane. Saintly and Octagonal. Beedman throwing everything at Octagonal. He gets there. Yes, Octagonal wins the Derby.
Octagonal's greatest performance? Quite probably. But it wouldn't be the last time the champion won a race on heart alone. Far from it.
It's hard to narrow it down to just one single race, but I think his 3-year-old year was the year that was the wonderful year when he won the Cox Plate, and then come back to Sydney in the autumn and won the Canterbury Guineas, Rosehill Guineas, Mercedes Classic and the Derby. And like, he beat horses like Saintly for Gronty that went on, what they went on and did, and it was something that no other horse had done. So I think those series of races were the great thrilling times.
Much has been written and said about Octagonal's disappointing 4-year-old spring, when he raced well below his best form. With this Underwood Stakes win against an average weight for age field, the only respite in a 7-race campaign. We were disappointed, but the pressure of trying to get the champion back to his best must have been unbearable.
Well, we sort of opted to bring him back, and at the start of the campaign, everything had worked terrific. He'd come up tremendous, and I think we started him in the Manicato, and things went backwards from there. But he'd sort of lost his train of thought a little bit as the preparation went on, and he was an entire, of course, and his whole form just sort of slipped. But he eventually got back to winning the Underwood, and we put Darren Beedman back on him, who had won on him previous, and he got the best out of him, on that particular day. But in springtime, very hard for entires during that time, because they got their mind on other things, and that was perhaps the low light of his career. It's never easy when you've got a horse of that calibre. And when you're sort of top 2-year-old, top 3-year-old, then you're trying to make him a top 4-year-old, and being an entire, which means in turn you'd go to stud. You're always under X amount of pressure, but pressure's only what you put on yourself, and he was a tremendous horse to train, and I was more relieved more for the horse winning, more so than myself. Nearly every time he won, the only one was the Mercedes at Rosehill. I actually thought he got beat that particular day, but he just seemed to know where the line was. He only won by short margins, but he always seemed to bob at the right time. And the Mercedes, he was beaten one stride before, in front on the line, and was beaten one stride later. That's the type of horse he was. He just knew where the line was.
Their perseverance was rewarded, as was the loyalty of Octagonal's legion of supporters. Second, the juggler in the Apollo Stakes indicated he was getting back to form. But who could have expected this?
And Octagonal is now tacking on at the tail. Past the 800 mark for Lonte, about a neck on Dupain. A length to Juggler, who's racing one off the fence. Di makes a quick move on Octagonal. Glenn Boss on Juggler. Tried to go with him, but Octagonal showed an amazing turn of speed past the 600. He's exploded around the outside to go to the front as they come to the turn. Daring tactics by Shane Di. Will they pay off? He's got Octagonal in full flight on the corner, led by a length and a half to Juggler, who's moving to second. Falonte third, flat to the boards, and the other two are beaten off. Octagonal first into the straight. He's got a 2-length break on Juggler. Boss goes for the whip on Juggler, who's coming out after Rocky. Octagonal's in front, 100 out. Juggler is trying desperately to pick him up, but bold tactics by Shane Di are going to pay off, and he pinches the Chipping Norton.
We talked about it before the race, and you know, I said, you just ride your own race. I said, you might be able to, you know, they all say he's just a plugger, this fella, but I can tell you he can run. And so it was a brilliant ride. And no horse would have matched what he did that day. I think he ran his last 3 in 32.4 or something.
No, there was no pressure on me the day of the Chipping Norton Stakes because he wasn't meant to win the race. Juggler was meant to win the race, and then Falonte, Octagonal third. And I did something daring that day, which we all know, and he won. So I was the hero. Then in the Australian Cup, he wasn't favourite again. Everyone expected Juggler to win. And of course, he won by a nose, and I rode him a bit different again, and it was a very good ride that day, I felt. I felt that was probably a better ride than in the Chipping Norton Stakes, the Australian Cup. So every time you win on him, there's more pressure, and you start going out there thinking, geez, I can't do this. I can't take off and put 5 lengths on them at the half mile, and if something runs them down, you're a mug. So naturally, I had that always in the back of my mind, that he was a people's champion. They expected him to win, and I had to form 100%.
Here comes the big O. Octagonal is winding up with a run down the outside. Juggler gets to Istadard at the 300. Octagonal in turners chiming in, and Gold City gets up on the inside. Juggler, Istadard, Octagonal the outside, and Gold City along the rail. Juggler just in front. Gold City pegging it back with the big O coming at them. It's Gold City, the big O, the outside, they hit it. Oh, gee, this is close. Either Octagonal or Gold City.
Vintage Octagonal. Never going to win until the last stride. And what better way to farewell Melbourne than winning the Australian Cup in a photo? If the Australian Cup, Cox Plate and AJC Derby were testament to his courage, what word describes his second successive Mercedes win? He was not only beaten several times in running, he was, for all intents and purposes, beaten on the line. But the camera said otherwise.
He's about to shut into the clear on Occy, but he's giving them a fair start as they turn for home. Magnet Bay and Circles of Gold. Istadard looming up to them from Arcady. Octagonal's into the clear. He's starting to wind up here. He comes, the big O down the outside. Istadard, Arcady, but Octagonal is getting to them with every stride. Arcady put his head in front. Octagonal is lunging as he always does. Istadard fighting back. Arcady and Octagonal. Oh, Arcady maybe. Arcady maybe a nose to Octagonal, who tried his heart out.
It sparked scenes the like of which have not been seen on Australian racecourses for decades. The crowd went delirious that their mighty champion had made the complete comeback from the racing wilderness to record his 3rd straight Group 1 win and the 10th of his career. Octagonal would not bow out on a winning note, beaten by the underrated Intergaze in the Queen Elizabeth Stakes at Randwick. But the huge gathering that turned up for his last race sent him off a winner anyway.
I mean, it's like anything, you love to go out a winner. On the day, he was beaten by, you know, a young and up-and-coming horse, but, you know, he sort of still fought it out that day, and, you know, it was tremendous to get the reception that he got, you know, to be beaten, but as it would have been great for him to go out a winner, but I think he still went out a winner, even though he was beaten on the day. Well,
he meant a great lot to all the family, you know, I mean, everybody loved him, and he's Bob and I always, you know, always loved racing, and to find a horse like him when we've been doing it for so many years was just great, and it's been a great help to the whole of our racing enterprise because he's gone on and been a stallion.